Hey guys, welcome back to the Huddle 3 podcast, a college football podcast with just me and Brian. Trey is not a college football fan, so it'll just be us, so boo on him. We are a Georgia football fan. We'll be discussing Georgia every week, and we'll be talking about the matchups for the week that we watched and an upset for the following week we're looking forward to. So, Brian, how was Georgia this week?
Um, Georgia was okay. I mean, they start out slow again, like they
Mm-hmm.
have every single week. Carson Beck is getting more comfortable within the offense. I
Yeah.
do think missing having not having Munkin as an offense coordinator has been a really big loss. I'm not a fan of Bobo whatsoever. I don't think he
Yeah.
knows how to run a newer type offense. He's old school, and we need new school. Um, and honestly, the defense has been playing atrociously bad.
Yeah.
Bad. Like we should not allow 21 points today against UAB. Like if it was like 2 years ago or last year or 2 years ago, that defense would have probably only scored like 6 to 7
Or
points
shut them out.
tops or shut them out. So I just don't feel like we have the type of players that we've had in the past. And I think it's gonna be really hard for us to three-peat,
Yeah.
which will be really cool to see. But we gotta play better on defense to be able to get to three-peat because in my little heart, I think we're gonna get upset in the middle of the week of the year, excuse me, and it's gonna affect us to get to the playoffs. What about you?
For me, I saw a lot of struggling from the corners. We're letting a lot of balls go past us, and we're playing kind of off. For the linebackers, we don't have a N'Kobe Dean anymore. We don't have someone who's fast. Tyndall, we had Tyndall a couple years ago. He was super fast on the edge. We don't have that anymore. Johnson, he's a great linebacker, but we don't have the skilled players that we used to, and we're seeing that this year. The defensive
Yeah,
line doesn't have a star like we've had the last couple of years.
right.
We're missing that star. But if they can play coherent together and play good sound ball will be just fine.
Yeah, I agree.
But letting UAB score so many points in a game is ridiculous.
I agree. I agree. We should
They
let
have a
that happen.
great coach in Trent Dilfer. He's a great coach, but not better than Georgia. Not 21 points worth of Georgia.
Right,
Offensively, I don't with losing having McConkey not there. I don't think he's our best receiver, but he's our most reliable receiver.
right.
Uh, with Brock Bowers, he's an animal in himself, and we have two running backs that are our number top two running backs are hurt.
Yeah, and
So go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, I just feel like Brock Bowers is gonna be a huge loss next year. The offense goes around him. He is a stud. He's 100 yards a game, I think, averaging for the whole week, the whole year so far. He's just gonna be a big loss for us, and we really need to get Oscar Delp more involved in the offense. So when Brock Bowers leaves, it won't be such a big hit going into next year.
So let's play in Auburn next week. What is the at Auburn? So it's away. So what do you think is the biggest thing for us to be able to stay number one if we do? What do we have to do?
Not start out slow. Our offense has to be coming out firing at all cylinders. Hugh Freeze down in Auburn is motivated to keep his SEC job and the compensation that he has and build Auburn back to their program where it used to be. And they just got to come out fast. Defense has got to be start coming got to fly. Offense has got to just score touchdowns, stay on the field, keep the defense off the field, and I think we can win the game. I think it's going to start out slow like we always do, but I think Georgia can win this game by a couple touchdowns.
It was nice to see us score so fast.
Yeah,
Against UAB, we
yeah,
scored super
1,000%.
fast. But the moment we scored, it felt like momentum was lost already. It's like, oh, we just scored, we're done. For me, for Auburn has a good interior defensive line, like they always do,
Yeah.
and they go if it's going to be between offensive line, defensive line, and if our offensive line can't move them, we're not gonna have a successful game. But I do think we're going to win. But I have us beating them by 7. What you got?
I'd say 10 to 14. And the last thing I'll say, and then we can move on to a different group that we can talk about is I think Kirby Smart's going to have his motivational speech every week. Have one of those
His ass
mad at you.
chewings.
Yeah, every single week until we figure it out. We can't go into week 6 or 7 still figuring it out. Next week has to be a turning point for us to go in the right direction. We are winning games, don't get me wrong, and we probably are hard on them, harder than we
Yep.
should,
Yep.
but we're two-time national champions. Like
Hmm.
we can three-peat this year. It's just we have the tools to do it. We just have to use those tools to be successful.
Yep. And we have two SEC games two SEC games, three total with Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and Auburn. Then we have off week. Then we have Florida.
Yeah.
So and it's always a CBS game for Georgia, Florida. So we have to be where we need to be. Did you get a chance to watch the Ohio State and Notre Dame game?
Yeah, a little bit here and there. Yeah, I watched it while I was playing some games here, but that was a really good game from what I saw. It was really, really good. One of the probably the best game of the day,
Mm-hmm.
personally. Low scoring game, defenses held up, but uh,
It was weird not to see Ohio State put 50 points on a board.
yeah,
I mean, the quarterback didn't even have a touchdown. Like he didn't even throw for one. Marvin Harrison only had three receptions for like 30 yards.
he did go out with an injury. That's the bad thing. And that scares me too for his draft stock is he's been getting hurt a lot
Do we know what
lately.
the injury was?
I think it was a knee or an ankle, one of the two. But still, he's been getting hurt a lot since the national championship game,
Yeah.
or yeah,
Our
and
big hit on him,
yeah,
supposedly.
yeah. But that and then like week one, he got hurt with an ankle, and then now this. It's like he's going to get drafted high, but it's like his health is important. They might want to sit him for a couple weeks, get him back healthy.
Oh, yeah, because their Big Ten isn't as hard as it used to be.
No, no,
For Notre Dame, Sam Hartman, man, he is a great quarterback. He didn't play well tonight, but like you said, both defenses were like it was very competitive on both sides, which was
yeah,
awesome to see. But I took a lot for Notre Dame. I think that's a big loss for them,
hmm
but I think they're still in the conversation of being one of the best teams in the college football. Um, they have a good test next week, but I mean, with Notre Dame, they're still trying to be that big college football. They're still separated division, correct? They're not in
yeah,
a college
yeah,
football yet, right?
yeah.
So they're not in a division yet. So I think they should be. I think that can help them with their uh, getting recruits and all that stuff.
Strength of schedule too.
Yeah, it's just their schedule isn't that strong. They've had some good competitive games so far, but Ohio State they're not as strong this year without having C.J. Stroud on their team. They definitely see a big loss there for them, but they
Yeah.
still played really well today.
No, they sure did, and I I I wouldn't I wouldn't be mad if I was them. I would be like, you know what, that is what we lost. We lost to a really really good team, and I will say I'm pulling up their schedule right now. They do have some hard games coming up. They play Duke next week. They play USC.
Oh
Um,
wow.
if Clemson was where they're at, they'll be at Clemson this year. So they've had some games, but I just think they need to just continue to do what they're doing. Marcus Freeman is a great coach. I think he was the best choice for them, and just keep building year to year, and get another quarterback in place of Hartman once he leaves next
He's
year.
another player coach that what people want to play for,
hmm
and he gets them on his side, and they win for him
hmm
when they do
No,
win.
no, 1,000%. And then talking about like a player coach, Nick Saban, like they had a rough time with Old Miss to start the game. It was going at a half. It was 6-7, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in an SEC game. So that tells me the defense was playing well. But I think Alabama has finally chosen their quarterback with Jason Milroe.
Yep.
So I think they're going to start rolling and coming down to the wire, being that SEC championship against Georgia, and they can potentially make it into college football playoff still with one loss. But I'm excited to see what they can do for the rest of the season. I don't want to see Alabama in the SEC championship because if they beat us in the SEC championship, it's hard to beat a team twice. We're going to
Yep.
go through that again. So, but I'm happy for Alabama to finally get a quarterback decision and move with Jalen Milroe for the future.
Like watching the game last week, seeing them play different quarterbacks and not have that one guy in there was weird.
Yeah, it was.
Milrose is a good quarterback. He was struggling, don't get me wrong, but he was still playing decent enough to keep him a starter. So I don't feel that was fair to him. But Nick Saban is one of the best coaches of all time. He has his choices, not ours. And I mean, Ole Miss. It's one of his old coaches. It's one of his old staff. He said on the Pat McAfee show, he's the utmost respect for him. They have a good respect for each other, which is awesome to see in the SEC. But with Alabama being not as good as they used to be, just like kind of Georgia now is, they're not as good as they used to be. They have both this year to me is a proven year for them to make sure they stay on top. So
Yeah.
seeing them go forward is going to be fun to watch, but also scary at the same point.
No, for sure. What other game did you watch this week that you really liked on?
The Oregon State and Washington State game. I mean,
Yeah,
it was a nail biter. You know what I mean? It was 3 points. They didn't go in overtime. Both teams played well. It was another defensive, not defensive game, but it was a lot of points. But the defense was trying to keep each other in the game for
Yeah.
stops. I lost. There's a lot of like 3-and-outs quick in the fourth quarter. I feel like Oregon State's kind of being that quiet team that no one's really talking about.
Yeah.
But with Washington State beating them, is Washington State the team to talk about now? You know what I mean? Are
I
they the
think they are.
quiet in the pack? I think you sent me the picture today. How many Pac-12s are in the top 25?
Six or
That's
eight,
a
excuse me, eight.
that's a lot of teams. That's
Eight.
half, almost all the division.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of weird not seeing SEC be as dominant. I think this is a down year for the SEC,
Mhm.
but man, both teams played well. But did you watch it at all? Did you get a chance to watch it at
Yeah,
all?
I think Cameron Ward's one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch.
Mm-hmm.
He threw another 4 touchdowns today for 404 yards. That is absolutely crazy. He's balling out. Those all those Pac-12 quarterbacks are
Mm-hmm.
Cam Rising, Cameron Ward, Penix Jr. from Washington.
Yeah.
Bo Nix played really well today. Caleb Williams is a stud. He's going to be trying to repeat for the Heisman. There's
Shador
so
plays well. Shador
Shador
can't
plays
play.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll get to them just here in a minute. But that Pac-12 is going to be fun to watch week to week. I think it's the best conference we have right now to watch. The SEC, like you said, is on a down year. ACC's boring and quiet. Big Ten, Michigan, and Ohio State will be.
They have two
That's it.
teams.
That's it. But I think the Pac-12 will be fun. I think one team is at least going to get into the playoffs this year from the Pac-12. Someone has to. Washington State,
Who
Washington,
do you believe it's going to
USC,
be?
USC.
You'll
It's going
see.
to come down to USC or Washington, in mine. And Washington State's right there for me.
Mm-hmm.
But Caleb Williams, Michael Felix Jr., he's a stud. It's just they have so many quarterbacks that are good in the Pac-12, and if in Utah too, they can ruffle some feathers, excuse me. But yeah, I'm excited to see what they can do. Washington State can do for the rest of the season. Upset alert every week when they play USC, Colorado, Oregon. They play Oregon in a week or two, I believe. So I'm going to be watching those games for sure.
For me, like with Washington State, like beating Oregon State, they have UCLA next. So, I mean, that's going to be a game. Then they have Arizona. They have or at Oregon. And then they play Colorado and they play Washington at Washington at the last game of the year.
Mm,
So that the last game could be the game to get them in or out of the playoffs for both of those teams.
I hope that's college game day. I
Yeah,
really do.
it should be. I mean, they could have two college game days technically on this list. You
Yeah,
know what
they
I
could.
mean? And college game day going to different places has been super nice to watch too.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Um, so they played Colorado second last week. Did you get did how did you feel like Colorado played today?
Like dog shit.
It was awful.
It was a slap in the face.
Yeah.
Like they said, Coach Prime or Deion Sanders just got to say, "Hey, welcome to FBS."
He got bent over today for sure.
Yes, like he
It
he
was
got kicked in the dirt.
it was bad. I mean, the perspective that I can see from Dion, this is like his first whoa, this is what real college football is. Like this is where the big boys are. But his team playing didn't play well, but they were still trying to compete for him. He had
Right.
another
They
player
didn't
coach
give
that
up.
they
They
didn't
didn't
give
give up.
up. But man, nothing was going their way.
Mm-mm.
They had so many penalties. They had just missed opportunities to drop balls. They didn't rush very well. What
Their
was your
defense did play well. The defense did
no?
play well. Like Bo Nix's stats today don't is not awesome. Like he went for 276, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That's not crazy. It's just
Mhm.
the defense did not play well at
They had a
all.
total of 200 yards as a
Yeah,
team.
yeah,
200 yards.
and that's not good. Shador had on her 159 and 1 touchdown. I mean,
Oregon had
Shador's,
five over 500.
yeah. Um, they Colorado does not need to sell in this loss for long.
No, because they can beat the next team.
Yeah, they can. They just got to have a self-reflection moment here. Stay off Instagram, stay off TikTok, just stay off. Like I love Deion Sanders, I love his swagger, I love it. But you're here to coach the team. Yes, you're going to help build the community,
Right.
but spend less time on Instagram and TikTok, and Shador's up doing his little flexing stuff.
His
Like,
wrist showing the
yeah,
arch.
let's just like be a grown up, be an
Yeah,
adult, play ball. You just got your ass kicked by Oregon. You guys are acting like you're the number one team of the country.
and they barely almost beat Colorado State, which Colorado State is not a
Exactly.
good team.
That was a great game.
Yeah,
And they're not a good team. They shouldn't be a good team, but they almost beat Colorado. So
right,
it's like Deion Sanders needing to get his team together. And honestly, one thing I saw too about this is Travis Hunter was playing NBA 2K while this game was going on. Why are you not there supporting your team?
right. Or
Like,
even watching the game while you
or
support
watching your
them.
game. Why are you playing NBA 2K?
Yeah,
You say you're one of the best players in the country, then act like it. One
yep.
of the best players in the country would do that. Would Brock Bowers from our team go play Madden while Georgia's playing?
Would Caleb
No,
Williams play Madden? Play
no,
NBA? No, he wouldn't do
no,
that.
no. And that's what frustrates me is like they think they're entitled to something and they're not. So I honestly think they need to
I think
self-reflect.
I think Dion brought that in. I
Yo,
think
a
Dion
thousand
brought
percent.
and Dion was a great player. He was a great player,
Mm.
but it's not the same as what he had at Jackson State. It's not the same. It's
And
a
don't
whole different ballgame.
1,000%. And don't get us wrong, guys. We love the Colorado hype. We love it. We love the Colorado hype.
Yeah,
But it's like we spend too much time on this. Like Colorado's ranked 19th in the country. Why are we not giving Washington or Washington State or Oregon State or even Duke the same amount of love we're giving Colorado? It's because of Deion Sanders. Like I understand that he's trying to build a culture, but it's not going to happen overnight. And they really thought it was going to happen overnight. I thought they were going to at least they're going to win 6, 7 games. That's what I think
yeah.
they're going to win. If they don't, that's a problem,
Hmm.
in my opinion. Yes, they won one game last year, but they need to win 6 or 7 games. They need to make it to a bowl game, and
Yeah,
now will be a successful season for them. And then they can build off because Deion Sanders has already said that both his kids are coming back for their senior years. They're not going pro; they're coming back. Um, and then they're going to have another year of we're signing the signing period and getting
yeah,
some beef on the offensive line because that's what they need help in. They've got the transfer portal coming up. They're going to get bigger on that offensive
yep.
line. They need it, and they also need some pass rush as well.
Well, looking at their overall like schedule, they have USC next, and
Ooh.
USC is a dog.
Hmm.
They have Caleb Williams, Heisman winner. He's playing really well.
Hmm.
They also have the last game is versus Utah.
Yeah,
Like this conference is starting to get hard. And yes,
yeah.
this is Dion's first year there. The the last some of their games are not easy. They have UCLA. They have Oregon State still left on their schedule.
They're going to win 6 or 7 games. They're going to beat Stanford. They're going to beat Arizona. They're going to beat Arizona State. There's your 6 wins.
Mhm.
Can they upset Oregon State? Can they upset Utah? Um,
USC, can they do
you
that?
They could if they upset Utah, then I'm gonna say okay, I get it. But
Yeah.
I don't think they will. I do not think they will whatsoever.
Boulder will
Uh,
be loud. It'll
oh,
be
a thousand
loud
percent.
again. And
I
they
wish it
should,
was a night game. I wish it was a night game.
yeah. I think they'll do good. They just gotta continue to do what they can do, go in there, do be the best they can, and do the best they can. They have a good, decent team, but
Yeah,
they gotta block better and they gotta compete on defense better.
yeah,
What
for
about
sure.
what? So with Colorado, they got that was a big ass whooping they got today. What game impressed you today?
That's a really good question. I would honestly, the Washington State Oregon State game was a really fun game for me to watch. I really enjoyed that one, and honestly, I know Duke played UConn, but I'm excited to see Duke play week to week.
Yeah,
Um, their quarterback, he's a stud. Riley Leonard, he's really really good. He's a projection quarterback for the NFL. I like seeing them. So those 2 games for me. I know they played UConn, but Duke just continue to be successful is awesome.
for me, it's gonna be LSU and Arkansas. That was a kind of a close game too. It was 3 points. But Arkansas played. They were competitive all game.
The other were.
They're up and coming. They're not going to be anything like LSU, but LSU's been struggling, so I don't think they're going to be the strongest in the West. But that game for me was was a continuous game all game. It wasn't boring to watch. It was a good game to kind of sit down, like eat popcorn, eat some wings. It was good.
Yeah.
Um, do you have any game that you are excited next couple of weeks? What two games? Any games you're excited to watch in the next couple of weeks or next week?
Yeah, I'm excited to watch the Ole Miss LSU game next week. I think that'll be a fun one to watch. And us, we know it. We just ripped Colorado, but Colorado home against USC. Maybe they can bring some swagger back to their team and be upset USC. Um, and then also, I think uh, Duke versus Notre Dame next week will be a fun one. That'll be a fun one. And
Would
I don't
that
know
should
what
that be college game day?
I think so. I think it should be college game day, and I don't like that we just had Notre Dame this week, but it should be college game day. And I wouldn't mind Oregon State being college game day next week either. They play Utah.
It's something new. For me, it'd
Yeah,
be you took it from me, Duke and Notre Dame. I think that's go. Excuse me, that's going to be a hell of a game. Because also Duke plays Florida State in 3 weeks,
hmm
and if Duke can beat Notre Dame and they can beat NC State and play at Florida State and maybe beat Florida State, that's going to be great for Duke. Thing for Duke.
no, 1,000%. And then I'll throw a quiet game out here real quick. Kansas on the road at Texas. Kansas is 3-0, and Texas has been struggled last week against Wyoming.
Mhm.
So that one will be a good
Interesting to
one.
watch.
It will be.
I think that's going to be good for Kansas if Kansas can finally upset a big team. Do I think it's going to happen? No.
Yeah.
Go
And
ahead.
then before you go, give me one player uh, that you um, that you thought balled out this week. Who's your give your college hoodie to? Who would you give your college hoodie to?
I would have to give it just to a team,
Okay.
and I will give it to. I'm going to give it to Ohio State for getting that win, but Notre Dame. I'm gonna give it to a game. Ohio State and Notre Dame. I'm gonna give it
Okay.
to a game. That game was great to watch. It was a great game, great atmosphere. The crowd was nuts the whole entire game. Both teams are competing. It was awesome college football game. It's
Yeah.
what college football is right there. What about you?
I'm going to give it to a player, and I'm going to give it to Cameron Ward from Washington State. 4 touchdowns today, 404 yards through the air. I think he is a Heisman campaigner for sure. Him, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix. I would not be surprised if we go into the season at the end of the year that we have 3 Pac-12 quarterbacks sitting in the Heisman room.
Man,
Now,
what's your three? What's your three? What's your three?
Caleb Williams
Okay.
is my number is going to be there. Michael Penix Jr. from Washington and Cameron Ward.
Who would be the fourth guy up on there for you? Who would be the fourth, like for the Heisman total? Who would be up there? Is it too many names?
No, I'd probably say Jordan Travis or Riley Leonard.
So no Drake May.
No, they're just not playing well. I would love to see Drake May on there, but one of those two. And then honestly, Brock Bowers being up there would be cool too if we can keep giving him the ball.
Yeah, we need to give him the ball more.
1,000%.
Before we guys go, we're gonna do one big upset for the week. One big upset. I'm taking Kansas over Texas.
And I'm gonna take Colorado over USC.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys watching. We're super excited for us to do college football. It's fun for us to do. It's fun. It's fun football. It's great, good stuff to watch. So we appreciate you guys watching. Catch you on the next one. Thanks.
Thank you.